Something's gonna happen and it could be good. Something's gonna happen and it could be good. Something's gonna happen and it could be good. Something's gonna happen like we knew it would. Oh, things will change and leaves will fall and it will rain. Transform before your eyes with no time for chasing. Why? Never know just how life is going to go. So you jump in your boat and row, row, row. Jump in your boat and row, row, row. Here we go out there, everybody. Something's gonna happen and it could be good. Something's gonna happen and it could be good. Something's gonna happen and it could be good. Something's gonna happen like it could. It would. I like how the new people in the audience catch on right away. Oh, you gotta aim high and go for your pie in the sky. Go ahead and trust yourself. Everything will right itself. Oh, life's a stream, so go ahead and follow your dream. Jump in your boat and row, row, row. Jump in your boat and row, row, row. All right, everybody, sing along. Ready? Something's gonna happen and it could be good. Something's gonna happen and it could be good. Something's gonna happen and it could be good. Something's gonna happen, Lord, we knew it would. Woo! 89 times.
Yay.
Welcome to the Laura Shepherd Show. If you'd like to support the show, you can leave cash here. You can go to Venmo or PayPal or be my patron on Patreon. There you go. Some exciting things happening in the world since I saw you last here in Laura Shepherd Show world. Those of you who've been watching the show may have been watching this piece of fruit that I picked a month ago, more than that, 5 weeks ago, so that it could be on Laura Shepherd Show number 87. I was hoping it would get right, but that's when we had that cold spell, so it didn't get right. But I got it and brought it on the show and showed it off. And then 2 weeks ago on show number 88, there it was. Still hard as a rock. Can't possibly eat it. But now, on show number 89, I'm feeling a little bit of softness. So later, I'm going to discuss with Barry whether he figures it's ripe enough to cut. But this fruit has been, this is his third Laura Shepherd show. It's amazing. All right.
You might have to give him a name.
I might have to give the fruit a name. Exactly. The first person I'm going to speak to today, Josephine. Please join me on the stage. Yay.
Hey.
Josephine.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yay.
How pleasant. Josephine, give us your last name.
My last name, I shortened it, is C-Krehl.
Josephine C-Krehl.
Yes.
Are you well today?
I am well, thank you.
Yes. You're in Florida working.
Yes.
Now you have 2 roles in your working life. You probably have other roles in the movie, but in your working life, I gather that you have 2 roles.
Yes.
One of which is being a health advocate. Explain the
So one of the roles is I'm a medical proxy. I work with contracted hospitals and hospices in the Southwest, and I provide medical decision-making services to incapacitated patients who can't make their own medical decisions, usually because they're so compromised that they don't really understand what's going on. Some of them are heavily sedated, some are in comas, and they don't have family members that they're connected with that can step forward to make medical decisions for them. So that's when I come in.
Because the hospital will call and say we got to have some decisions made. There's nobody done.
Yeah.
And So you work for a company who's contracted to different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I've been a medical social worker licensed in Florida since 1994, so for quite a long time. I understand vulnerable, chronic, critical, terminal ill conditions. So my world has kind of evolved into now being a medical proxy for those folks.
Right, so that's like you didn't go to college to do that necessarily, but you found that job. How did you find the job, or how did it find you?
It was 2020. So I also do medical cannabis education.
Yes.
And I started my own medical cannabis education company back in 2018. And I was doing a lot of education for mainstream medical conferences.
And where were you based at that time?
I lived up in North Florida, but I traveled the state. So what I did was I would select mainstream medical conferences. There wasn't a lot of education about cannabis therapeutics in Florida past the law. And we had a medical cannabis program, which I helped to educate lawmakers and Department of Health regulators.
And you did that because you had started your own private company?
No, that came a lot later.
How do you get to go educate them? I want to educate me some lawmakers about a thing or two.
So this is what happened back in 2008. My dad was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. So we went through his treatment options. He had chemotherapy, he had radiation, he had the upper right lobe of his lung removed. Fast forward several years later, the cancer came back, and after all of those treatment options, his radiation oncologist, after giving him 1 to 3 months to live, recommended another round of chemotherapy. So that's kind of when I stepped out of my role as daughter and into my role of social worker. And I started basically looking for alternative treatment options because I didn't want my dad to spend the last 1 to 3 months of his life in bed being compromised from the treatment. So cannabis came on my radar. I started taking a deep dive into the clinical use because my background was in medicine, and I started learning that there's actually science behind the therapeutic use of cannabis for several conditions. Fast forward again, my dad was an 85-year-old Sicilian man. He would not break the law. We didn't have a program. We didn't have safe and legal access. So after he died, I was working in hospice at the time. I started opening the conversation with my patients because I was like, well, if this really does what all these folks and the science is saying, then I know we have people who are using it. They're just not telling the healthcare team because it's against the law. And they
nobody's telling it.
So one of the things that a social worker does in hospice is within the first 5 days of admission, we have to do a biopsychosocial assessment.
A biopsychosocial
assessment.
Okay.
And so when you're working with dying people and their families, there's a lot of needs at the end of life. There's physical needs, there's spiritual needs, there are family conflicts. So you get to be a really big part of somebody's family at their most vulnerable time, and it's a pretty unique relationship. So I started creating safe spaces for people to tell me very private things, and I started asking, I said, well, lots of people use alternative methods of symptom control. Some people use acupuncture, some people use guided imagery, and I said, heck, I've even heard people use marijuana.
And are you legally allowed to say that? Could you have gotten in trouble for saying that?
No, because I was careful.
And I guess you're giving a slew of choices. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah, and I wasn't telling folks what to do, and I wasn't making recommendations. I was just asking them what were they doing, which is very important to know.
To know, of course.
Especially if you're on other medications. You know, your doc kind of needs to know if you're using other substances. So people started telling me because I was a safe space, and I was asking, and I wasn't judging. And if they told me that they used marijuana, I wasn't like, oh my God, you're breaking the law. I would say, well, you know, that makes a lot of sense. This is what I'm learning, and the science tells us that it does work, because one of my big things was trying to remove shame and guilt at the end of life, because I don't believe that that is helpful to dying people, to go out of this world feeling guilty for using something that was helping them. So I went back and I started talking to my medical director and saying, you know, Mr. This person uses marijuana, Mr. That person, Mrs. This person told me she uses it. And the doc didn't want to have that conversation because it was against the law. And I said, well, you know, you kind of need to know, because I've been attending these clinical conferences, and by that time I started traveling around the country. Patients Out of Time has been educating on cannabis as medicine for the past 25 years. So the science is out there. We're just not given that information. So I went to find it. My medical director was very uncomfortable, and I tried to explain, you know, you're prescribing opioids, and what I'm learning is that when cannabis and opioids are used together, there's a synergy.
Oh,
and the
synergy,
opioids,
good word, folks. Synergy means that one thing
come together and make it more powerful. So if somebody's using cannabis and an opioid, the cannabis actually makes the opioid more powerful. So when you're using the two, one of the benefits is you can reduce the use of opioids.
The amount of opioid you're using.
Take it down. Some people could even replace the opioids with just the cannabis. So once I realized that we were making our dying people criminals and their families, and I lived in Tallahassee, that's where we make our laws.
Yes.
And I've been an advocate for marginalized and vulnerable people for over 30 years. To me, this was just, you know, same story, new topic. So I decided to go up to the Capitol. I connected with a group called the Florida Cannabis Action Network, www.flcan.org, for anybody who's interested in cannabis policy and changing archaic and draconian laws.
Say it again, slowly.
www.flcan.org. So I met the nice folks at Florida Cannabis Action Network up at the Capitol, and that was almost 10 years ago.
I find it interesting that you decided to take direct political action. Do you think that if you had not been living in Tallahassee, you might not have? I mean, because like this idea that you could actually go to your government building and affect change. That's what gave
well,
you
I
that?
thought it was going to be really easy.
Oh.
I thought I was going to walk in there and say, hey, guess what? This is backed by science, and we can help all these people, and there's an opioid epidemic, and if we provide safe and legal access to a plant that Mother Nature, God, gave us.
You witch! Burn her, she's a witch!
And so 2022 will make 9 years.
9 years, but
of going back to the Capitol and continuing to educate. I'm a full-on legalizer. I believe that cannabis as medicine is an excellent medicine. I also believe that nobody should be made a criminal for using a plant. that has been shown to be safe and efficacious, and somebody dies of a prescription drug overdose in the United States of America every 19 minutes, and nobody has ever died due to an overdose of the use of cannabis in the history of all of history.
Yes, but we must do some tests. A few more tests must be done.
So we've come a long way.
Yes.
In the past 9 years, we now have an operational medical cannabis program. Not everybody knows that. The qualifying conditions in the state of Florida are cancer, epilepsy, positive status for HIV and AIDS, post-traumatic stress disorder, Crohn's, multiple sclerosis, and Parkinson's. There was also a clause written into the law that says, or another condition of the same kind or class as those enumerated or listed that I just went through, that a physician believes the use of cannabis would, the benefit would outweigh the risk. So even if you have a condition that's not specifically listed, if it's of the same kind or class, you can still be a qualified patient. For instance, my background's mental health, right? So PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is listed. Anxiety is not. But PTSD is an anxiety-related disorder. So somebody with generalized anxiety or depression with anxiety, even though it's not listed, they could be qualified for the program.
That gives the doctor a bit of, what's the word, doctoring to do. He can actually
well, that was part of my testimony, was that, you know, you're lawmakers, and I don't really understand why we are listing specific conditions to begin with, because why don't you legislate? Because you're lawmakers, that's your job. And why don't we allow the doctors to medicate? Because that's what they went to school for, and you all are playing doctor.
It seems, I know, it seems so silly. Anyways, is there anybody out there that has a specific question that they'd like to ask? No, okay.
I thought that was very informative.
Yes, it is very informative. And do you feel like the some of the stigma has gone away?
I feel like some of the stigma has gone away.
Do you think that your grandfather, your Sicilian grandfather now, would...
My dad.
Oh, excuse me, your dad, your Sicilian father,
Yeah.
would accept it as a treatment now that it's legal?
Oh, absolutely. Because that was one of the things that he told me was, you know, that he wouldn't do something that was against the law and that the doctor didn't say was okay to do.
Right.
And the interesting thing is my parents were both from Sicily, so my mom and dad both grew up in the same small town, Castellammare del Golfo. And after
Shout out to this town. Wait, what is it?
Castellammare del Golfo.
There we go. Okay. Wait, hold on. What's that?
Jessica Williams has a question. What do you think the holdback from lawmakers is? Money from big pharma, family values?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Yes.
Yes, all of the above. So our biggest opponents are the pharmaceutical industry, law enforcement, and I am a supporter of law enforcement. I'm not trash-talking our law enforcement officers, but cannabis consumers are low-hanging fruit. If somebody gets pulled over and you smell some pot, it's easy to arrest folks, and that's where the money comes from, right? Because then they have to be on probation, and they have to pay court costs.
Okay, there's another question out here.
Brenda Carter says, good morning to you all, and my best friend Laura, sending love your way.
Fredericksburg. There's the person. Yes. Okay, so you're Sicilian
and drug-free America, the drug treatment centers. Let's not forget.
They don't want people.
They don't want people using cannabis because that does take money directly out of their pockets. Because
So you're Sicilian.
so
yes,
so
that
going
is
back,
like why is
so
it
this
not
is the interesting thing.
Yeah.
After my dad died,
Yes.
probably about 2 months later, my mom called me up. She was back up in New York. I had brought them down here, but after he died, she went up, and she woke up, and she like called me in a panic, and she was like having this stream of consciousness, and I was jotting down information as fast as I could, and she said, "I am so sorry that we didn't listen to you, and that we didn't have your dad use," and I prefer to use cannabis. It's the scientific name. Marijuana has a whole lot of negative stigma attached to it. But, you know, she was talking to me in Italian, and she said, "I'm so sorry that we didn't have your dad use the marijuana." I remember when I was a little girl that I used to help my grandmothers make cannabis-infused olive oil. She remembered. And we know that cannabis has been used by indigenous peoples for thousands of years.
Yeah, it's so interesting how, so here's this person who's this, Italian man, law-abiding, caring, loving his country, being,
And it was really taking him back to his roots. Because, my mom and dad's grandmothers used to make their own extracted oil, and I knew that it had to be cannabis because the way that she was explaining it to me, she said, "I remember we used to dry the plant, and we would roast it, and we would crush it. So in order to activate THC in cannabis, you have to apply heat. It's called decarboxylating." There's that science.
Yes.
But that's what she was talking about. We would put it in the oven and roast it and crush it. They would decarboxylate it so that they could activate the THC. We would put it in a mason jar, and then we would cover it with olive oil, and we would put the lid on and put it in a dark place. Then once a month we would go and we would shake it, and then we would leave it.
And you can't heat it up too hot.
And
you gotta put it in the oven, but you can't get it too hot.
It was pretty fascinating to me that she was having these memories, and we didn't use cannabis with my dad, and I had a fistful of 12, 13, 14 pharmaceutical drugs that if I misdosed him, I could have killed him sooner, but I couldn't give him a plant because it was against the law. And so, that's what took me to that. It was more than I can handle.
You are done. I'm pleased to know that somebody has gone to the law, to try and change the law. And I am for more, you seem educated and passionate and compassionate people. I would like to give you a little present. Do you want to, would you like to take some of these? They grew here. These are little kumquats. You eat the whole thing.
Love to
okay, because I know you're traveling.
Okay.
I would love to give you some of these flowers.
And I'm a plant girl too.
Do you want to take some flowers on the road? Is that? It might be.
That might be a little
harder.
Yeah, but this would be perfect.
But these are flowers in your honor. But
and those are bleeding hearts.
They are. They come off a vine over there, and they're really. There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Josephine.
Thank you for having me.
If you're a person out there that wants to start using it medicinally, what is the first step you do?
It's a little bit of a complication, but if you Google medical marijuana doctor, you should be able to get a list of docs that provide cannabis recommendations in your area, because you can't just go to any old doctor. Our lawmakers made it a little bit difficult for us. There are only certain doctors that are authorized under Department of Health, but a quick Google search, we've evolved to the point where a Google search will get you to a doctor in your area.
So if you're interested, I'm sure there's all sorts of,
And then also, again, www.flcan.org is really an excellent educational resource clearinghouse
Yeah.
to get information.
Yeah, so if you're wanting to get on the above board legal
Yep.
train and explore this possibility with your doctors, you can.
You can.
Thanks to people like Josephine who went to the Capitol. Yay, you're a heroine for me. And I really appreciate you getting up here and talking about it.
Yeah, so nice to
Yay.
meet you.
Nice
Thank
to
you
meet
for having
you.
me today.
Hopefully we'll see more of each other.
Yeah.
We never know.
Hopefully so.
Hey, wow.
Thanks, bye.
And so there's a lot of, right now I'm noticing out there in the world, there's a lot of protesting going on and actions and opinions and people speaking up at school board meetings for or against. And so it is interesting to sort of just meet this sort of person that decided to walk into the state capitol and join a team, join the team that was working there. So I think that's really empowering to understand that, you can be a trucker and block the streets, or you can or you can walk into your state capitol and affect change that way. Because I believe that you and your friends, you and your friends up there in Tallahassee did all right. We got us some medical. Okay, moving on.
Well, I read a meme.
Yep. Tell us what you read.
I read two things that made an impact on me. And the first thing said, if you think you're too small to have an impact, spend the night with a mosquito.
Right.
And then the second one that I read was, I always wondered why somebody didn't do something about that. And then I realized I am somebody.
Oh, you're somebody, all right, Josephine.
Thank you.
Somebody.
Thank you.
Woo.
Bye.
Yay. Oh, what a pleasant, well, how powerful, eh? How powerful. I reckon in this story, it's time for a little bit of music. I think, but we should just get Barry up here. Barry, come on up here. Okay. Yeah. I think we're going to get Barry up here. We're going to get Barry, Beach Bum Barry. Barry Erlel and a guitar. Oh.
I beat this thing up all the time. It's unfortunate, but you could see that I have this thing. It almost has like a trigger thing going on here.
Yeah, trigger is Willie Nelson's guitar.
Correct.
It's got a great big hole in it from having been played. This is Barry Erlel, my
It's on
friend.
the shirt here somewhere.
Yeah,
right?
put it on.
There we
Yeah,
go.
see what we can do. Barry Erlel and Beach Bum Barry is what you do when you do a solo.
By a one-man band show.
One-man band, which would include a drum kit and lots of bits and pieces that if you want to see, you're going to have to go see him in person because we're just doing guitars today. We're going to play a little song.
Huh?
Okay, and then we'll talk. We're going to play Best Foot Forward just because we like it.
Mm-hmm.
We like that one?
Yeah.
Okay. All you have to do is think about it. All you really have to do is try. Go ahead and put your best foot forward. Go ahead and try.
Oh.
That's when you turn toward your trouble. Go ahead and enjoy where you are. Y'all have a
Yeah, you
good
know it's
time?
true.
Yeah. Go ahead and enjoy where you are.
Happy to be here right now.
I dare you to have fun. All you have to do is think about it. All you really have to do is try. Go ahead and put your best foot forward. Go ahead and try. Go ahead, and it's okay to cry. All right, this is a sing-along, everybody. Ready? Yes, it's really how you think about it, and not what just happens to be. Go ahead and live in this moment.
Right now.
Go ahead and smile, it's free. Grin from ear to ear, people. Go ahead and smile, it's free. It's okay to smile. Go ahead and smile, it's free.
It's okay to smile.
Go ahead and smile, it's free. That one always makes me feel good. What's up out there? We have some.
Brenda Carter says it's a pretty song you're singing.
Oh, excellent.
Thank you, Brenda.
Yes, thank you. I was living in Fredericksburg, Virginia, where I met Brenda when I wrote that song. And I used to sing it a lot. And one day I came into local open mic, and some friends who had been at rehearsal came in, and my friend said, "We were singing your song at rehearsal, and I'd just like to break up the tension," or something. Somebody went into it. And it made me feel really good that that song made them feel good enough to remember
Impact.
it's an impact.
Yeah.
Now, you make an impact. Barry, you used to be, okay, I'm gonna frame it.
Okay.
This guy used to push legal drugs, but now he's gone down the spiritual path. Which means you used to be a bartender, and now,
Oh, yeah.
and now it's all in how you frame it. It's all in how you frame it.
Definitely.
So you used to work as a bartender, which is a pretty good paying job, and I'm sure you were really good at it because you're personal and you care about people and you interact. And then you gave it up, or did you ooze into playing, or did you give it up?
I would say it happened rather abruptly. I was fired from my last bartending job.
Oh.
I'm proud to say. I
Okay.
have kind of a easy tongue, and I don't really hold it well. But I always stick up for what I believe in.
Well, you're kind. You're
You know,
kind.
I mean, I'm not, out here trying to, mix words. I feel it was very, I'm gonna say it wasn't
Anyways,
cool. Yeah, let's move on. So,
Moving on.
moving on. I decided after that you could either go get another bartending job,
Right.
Which, like you said, I did not like it, or I could try to my hand at playing music full time, and it's been a blessing because I haven't turned back.
Right.
10 years now playing as a local musician.
For 10 years, you have earned a living as a musician.
Lucky me.
Oh, Lord of mercy. Yeah, I get
Lucky
paid
me.
for thinking.
Oh man, just the happiest kid in the sandbox to get to do it.
Wow, isn't that exciting? And so that you gig 5 or 6 nights a week?
Yes.
Or 5 or 6 nights a week, like go to a job.
Just made it a job, exactly.
Just made it a job.
I have the work ethic to do it, so I think that really also helps. I don't have underlying issues, like some drug problems and stuff too, which some other musicians that I, unfortunately
right.
know have fallen into, and they
Right.
they try to make a go at it, and they get a little carried away, and then it just ends up falling into the background once again because of this or that or the other thing. And
You just made it a priority.
it is a priority.
And you know what I noticed, that whenever you're gigging, you make really good posters online. I noticed I really like your posters.
Well, I have a little bit of graphic art that I
Yeah.
used to do as a child, and then it just kind of transpired into me working for myself. Again.
Yeah, because you post posters and images online, and you.
I'm glad that you like them.
Oh yeah, no, they're great. They're colorful and they change and they're evocative of
What's your schedule?
Yeah, where?
Oh, that's a good question. It varies. If you could check me out at beachbumberry.com, it'll tell you where I'm playing. I do have a residency at the Cambria Hotel every second and fourth Saturday and fifth Saturday. And then they just started a weekday thing, so I'm there once a week now because I do a first and third Tuesday. Like I said, it's hard to, it's scattered.
Gang symbols. 1, 3.
Yeah, 1 and 3 Tuesdays.
Anyway, go to your account.
But I do host some open mic / jams,
yeah.
and I call them open mic / jams because we tend to go towards the jam side of it if you'll let us. You know, if you come in to play your 3 songs, we're not going to stop you.
No.
We'll let you play your 3 songs by yourself. But if you join the band, you'll probably get to play more like 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
And the patrons at the venues that we're doing at, first is Bottles Pub. That's on a Wednesday. And we do it from 7 to 11. Both of them are from 7 to 11. The Thursday one is at Cool Vibes, also 7 to 11. And I bring a drum set out. I bring a full PA, a couple of microphones, a couple of lines to plug in some acoustic instruments. A lot of my buddies come out and bring their instruments and stuff.
Yeah,
and
you're
set
really
up.
good. You're good at setting people up. You're friendly and you're helpful. Like if somebody wants a little drum beat, you will help them.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Love
you
to
make
do it.
You make it possible for people.
In fact, that's how I started playing the drums to begin with. People would let me play along with them. You were one of those people. Eggs and butter. You let
Eggs
me
and
play.
butter.
You know, let me play drums
We
with
used
you,
to-
and
I know, we used
it
to
just
do a
kept
little
taking
band.
off.
What do you think, Barry? Barry likes to eat and cook.
Yes, I do.
Have you ever seen one of these before?
I had not.
touch
I mean,
it.
I've seen them in the
touch it.
grocery store. Had I
Yeah.
taken one home, I'd be a
No.
liar to tell you I
It's
did.
like it's related to a persimmon. It's like I think
That's
they
what I was
call
going to call it,
it.
as persimmon.
It's not a persimmon. It's related to it. It's a sapote. My question is, do we think it's ripe enough?
I don't know. It's feeling. You know, you said it's really hard. Otherwise,
It was really hard.
it
It was
feels
really
kind of
hard.
like it's getting softer.
Should we cut it just for fun?
I think
mean,
so.
it's either that or
I definitely think we should.
I think we should. I'll know more next time. And if you pick one up, I know that if this were a persimmon, it'd be soft. Have you ever eaten persimmons? They're kind of dry your mouth out. All right, look at this sucker.
I'm going to tell you, your little Swiss Army knife is really good and sharp for that.
Okay, look at that. No, okay. Now, I don't think that this is correct. I think that this should be dark brown in here like, I don't think this one's ever going to ripen. I think that this should be dark brown like chocolate pudding.
Really?
Yes. I have seen the
But I mean, it
ripe before.
oxidizes almost instantly.
Yeah.
Like it's turning that dark brown that you're talking about. as it's
But
getting
it's
there.
not. I think it's supposed to be like pudding, and it still tastes very bitter. Don't try it.
Don't try it.
You know how when you pull the milk out of the refrigerator and you go, oh, this is rotten. Don't try it. Okay, but thank you for helping me with those. The other thing I wanted to talk about last week we had the pigeon peas. You hear 'em? I had
I
them
do.
online, and they hadn't quite
You're
put
getting
out
ready to
yet.
lose some.
Yeah,
I was going to say, yeah.
We'll put them in your hand. And these
Kind
are
of like little black-eyed peas.
they do kind of look like little black-eyed peas. And so you could take these, you could let them dry. These just dried right on the plant there, and I picked it off. And you could, wet those down, soak them, and there would be your peas.
It's like it's a protein, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And they're great. And there's I'm just going to sort of
Okay.
pull this over so anybody can. Is that good for you? Is that good for you, Ken?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There, pigeon peas. Look, they're hard. Did you hear that?
Boy, I sure did.
They're hard and dried out, so that's real food. Okay, I'm gonna keep, see if I can get one of these that's proper. Because we could have eaten it, but there's a papaya I'll send you home with. Do you want to play a song? Because you're not just a open mic host. You're a singer-songwriter. You're in your own right. You can do a lot of covers.
Oh yeah, I'll play one of mine.
Yeah,
I'll do an instrumental if you don't mind. That'd be great.
We don't mind. I'm going to actually leave the stage.
Okay.
And you're going to do us an instrumental.
Sure.
Because I really like the fact. I know you can do any old cover that any old person in any old bar wants to hear. You just give him a $5 bill, he'll play it for you.
Yeah.
But we want to hear the ones you wrote.
Yeah, I call this the Sunset Matador.
Yay, you call that the Sunset Matador?
The Sunset Matador.
Yeah, how many sunsets you reckon you've seen? Because with your new job, it's like...
Oh, that's
it's
one
like
of the reasons
sitting
why I
on-
love my job. Sunsets and tiki bars, that's probably what I do. And rooftops now, too. I love the rooftops. Yeah, I play at the
rooftops, yeah.
Fusion once a month. That's another rooftop bar that's really fun.
And So because people are always like, oh, you can't make a living as a musician. Why do you think you can make a living as a musician? What are the things you do?
Honestly, I don't see that there's any really unique quality about myself. I just think the persistence and the hustle is really what it really boils down to, is being able to put yourself out there for all the no's. Because, like when you're first starting off, not everybody's going to give you the gig. You got to keep, being persistent and asking. But I also believe if you play good music, somebody's going to want to listen to you. Mm-hmm. And I just really practice a lot. And now that I'm playing 5 days a week, I'm practicing at the gigs. Right. I'll learn a song. I have a little system that I use the internet to Google a song, and then I'll look up the chords, and then I'll watch some person, I'll watch a cover of it.
Right.
So, because usually when somebody's playing a cover, they're sitting in front of the camera like this, and you see them so you can see their hands.
Oh,
and
right.
So
instead of watching a rock star.
Right, rock star on stage doing this, exactly. I watch the kid in the corner, playing right in front of you like this, and and his hands or her hands, it depends on who's, it could be anybody.
Yeah.
But I'll watch their hands and put it with the chords, and then that usually helps me learn a new song rather quickly.
Right. You learn them quickly, and I know you do it regularly, learn new ones, and I guess that makes it more fun for you. Because that you're always...
Oh, yeah, you don't want to play the same 40 songs every time you go out to play. At least I don't,
Yeah,
anyway.
You've probably learned and forgotten more songs.
Sorry, I keep
that's
touching
right,
that
that's
thing.
right. It's like, hanging, there's this thing, you're like, it could be a crab crawling.
I'm just like, it's that microphone.
And it's like, do you want to sing another song? Or do one more song before?
I would like to do one with you if you don't
want to
mind.
do one with me?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. We're going to do Carry My Rain in a Bushel Basket and get us out of here. Before we do that, though, there's a couple of things. One, I'm going to send you home with I like to give my guests a flower, and because my lovely other guest was going to be traveling in a car and couldn't take her flowers, these are for you, and these are for Jess, and we'll put them all in there.
I'll say I'll bring them to Jess. That's what I was just going to say.
I know you have a lovely partner who
supports me. That's also another thing that brings my success.
Yeah, when you say support,
supportive partner.
She's not. Yeah,
supportive.
She's not supporting.
Right? No, by no means. Right.
By no means.
But supportive.
But she is supportive of the fact that you maybe have to go to work and stay at work till 2 in the morning, or this or that or the other,
yes,
or whatever. It's like have they installed a new airport? So I'm going to want you to take these home with you, and we'll pick a papaya, because I like to honor your time for having come. So you do a little bit of self-promotion on Facebook. You show up for your gigs. You have regular gigs and things, and you're just a musician. You get to write that on the bottom of the form.
I'm a lucky son of a gun. I really am.
Occupation, lucky son of a gun.
That is a true story.
And you plan on now. How you've been around this area your whole life?
Nearly
your whole life. Were you going to bars around here as a youngin?
Oh, of course.
So has the music scene changed any what would you? It's always some guy in the corner singing some music, isn't it?
There's always somebody. The coolest thing now is we've got so many venues. I mean, I honestly think that we could. I mean, when you think about it, there's probably at least 1,000 music venues in this Pinellas County alone.
Yeah, Peter Gallagher.
And to think that they're having all the musicians that come in here, every single night of the week, and I don't mean just Fridays and Saturdays. You can go out on a Monday night and go to probably 100 places where there's going to be some live music.
Right, so if you're not making a living as a picker, you ain't trying. That's what I said.
That's why I said it. It feels like, I feel lucky to be among those that are out here doing it.
Right, but you don't think it was some miracle or magic that made
it's a formula of practice and persistence.
Yeah.
Don't go out and think you're going to know 4 songs and you're going to make 4 hours worth of music. You've got
to be able to pay a 4 hour set.
At least I'd say you have to have 4 hours worth of music to make it as a working musician.
I heard somebody. I did a little acting thing yesterday, and I was talking to one of the other actors, and he said that on average you go to 35 casting calls before you get a part in these are just run-of-the-mill parts in an ad or something like that. So that's 35. I bet you don't have to ask 35 bars before you get a gig.
Oh, not anymore. I mean, like I said, I've been in the area 10 years. I have a lot of, I'm not saying that I have any kind of real local recognition, but some people know who I am, and then they give me the chance now a lot easier because I guess because I believe in the product I'm selling makes it also easier to sell.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I recommend going to one of your shows. I think that you're very attentive of the audience, and if somebody's trying to go out and have a good time, you're watching that and you help them have a good time. You know, if it's their birthday.
Love to facilitate a good time.
Yes.
When is your next gig?
Probably tomorrow.
Probably
I host another open mic / jam at the Pesky Pelican every first and third Monday. So if it's the first Monday, I believe it's Monday. So that will be it.
Yes, please
go to beachbumberry.com.
Yeah.
You'll find my full schedule.
They just missed you at the Blueberry Patch on 2222.
Oh, that was the most amazing. I love the Blueberry Patch. I formed several bands out of there.
Yeah.
2 of my bands got to play there for the.
And you ran the open mic.
22. I did run the open mic at the Blueberry Patch for a minute there.
Right, so you're not always just playing by yourself as Beach Bumberry. Often you're...
No, I have my one-man band show. I incorporated a friend of mine that plays a big stand-up bass. His name's Captain Brian. And I have Shaky Steve Hoy playing the harmonica. So when we walk in the place, we look like we might be a bluegrass band because I'm going to play the drums with my feet. But then we start playing this rock, reggae, and alternative music, and people... have been really taking to it, so it's been really cool. And I play bands I play drums in a band called Pufferfish.
Yep.
And that's with Peter J. Lloyd. You know who he is.
Yes, Pufferfish.
Also one of the working musicians in this town.
Mm.
Very fortunate to get to play with him. I love his voice and his choice of music. He's very eclectic like myself. Love your music.
I love your music.
You going to play us another song?
We're going to play this one together and be out. Does anybody else have anything they need to say? What's up, my friend? Oh, there's something going on over here. We're getting some signals from the...
I like signals.
Keep talking. I know there's some
There's
sign language going on out there, but I'm not sure. It's all okay. Okay. Moving on. We thought that we were about to be invaded, but we're not. Y'all follow your dreams. If you want to be a full-time musician, you do that. And if you see this law that isn't suiting you, why don't you go down to Tallahassee and let them know how you feel about things. I don't jump freight trains when they roll by. Don't get the blues, I'll tell you why. I go downtown when I want to smoke, and I'm treating life like a joke. I won't go sitting in my neighbor's yard, 'cause he's been working mighty hard to go downtown, but I don't wear shoes. Oh Lord, I don't sing the blues. Carry my rain in a bushel basket and carry the sunshine too. Carry my rain in a bushel basket and let the sunshine through. Carry my rain in a bushel basket. Carry my rain in a bushel basket. Carry my rain in a bushel basket and let the sunshine through. Won't get cross if you smile at me, and I'll throw my troubles out to sea. I don't wear black or need a heart attack, 'cause we can be happy.
How about that?
Don't think much about what could go wrong, and I don't want to sing about it in a song. But I'll look at you and shake my head. Oh, Lord knows, some people would be better off dead. Carry my rain in a bushel basket, carry the sunshine too. Carry my rain in a bushel basket and let the sunshine through. Carry my rain in a bushel basket. Carry my rain in a bushel basket. Carry my rain in a bushel basket and let the sunshine through. Oh, right into the sunset, happy people. Saturn when I look at the stars, but I know it's out there, and
so is Mars.
Don't think much about the evening news, and Lord knows I'm not gonna sing the blues. I don't like ham, but I do like toast. I certainly don't care who you hate the most. I don't care how it's always been done. You could give in, but still have some.
Carry my rain in a bushel basket, carry the sunshine too. Carry my rain in a bushel basket, let the sunshine through. Carry my rain in a bushel basket, carry my rain in a bushel basket, carry my rain in a bushel basket, but let the sunshine through.
Gotta let your sunshine through. All right, people. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for doing what you do, like doing what you want to do in life and normalize being happy with your job and doing what you want to do. We're going to have show number 90 in 2 weeks. We would like to let's see there. I invite you to be my patron on patreon.com. If you'd like to help me out, please do. There's a lot of other things you can do to help people out. Just basically going to somebody's website or going to their Facebook page and liking it, sharing it with somebody.
Always appreciate it.
Always do it. So when you go look up Beach Bum Berries, calendar of fun events, share it with your friends, maybe meet somebody for a beer. Bye.